fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is a UFC bantamweight fighter with a professional record of 11 wins and only 4 defeats. His last fight in the UFC earned him a $50,000 bonus from none other than Mr. Dana White. Dangerous Davey Grant. Hello, Davey. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Hello, Steve. No worries, mate. Always a pleasure.
The first thing I'd like to ask you, and this is what I'm asking a lot of athletes that come on, the fight name Dangerous. Can you tell myself and the viewers how that came about?
Yeah, to be honest, it was just what my friends used to call me when I'm out and I've had a few drinks. I'm a bit of a nightmare. I'm one of them. So yeah, a bit dangerous after a few drinks. Nothing to do with the fighting, to be honest. Just alcohol related.
But it's a name that can be used within the fight game as well, especially on the back of your last fight, which we'll talk about as we go on through this podcast. Your MMA journey, people are always interested in athletes who are at a premiership level to see how they started, if they had any adversities, what sort of disciplines they got into to end up where you are today. Can you share your MMA journey with us, please?
Yeah, no problem. I started like young at the time. I was like not as young as what the kids start nowadays, like. But I think I was 14, and I'd already done karate at a gym, and didn't really stick to it. It wasn't really for me. And then the next thing I tried was kickboxing. So I went to a kickboxing gym. It was my dad's friend. It was a coach, like my first MMA coach, Aidan Connie, called him, and he was like a really high black belt kickboxer. I think he's black belt in Taekwondo as well. So me and my dad just went for fitness, really. And there was like a few of the guys were like doing MMA and stuff like that, and I just overlooked it, and I was like, oh, it looks all right. So I sort of just started doing like the rolling around on the floor. We didn't really know what it was back then. I don't even think we used to call it MMA. We used to just call it like Valley Tudo, or it was like back in the day. So yeah, started off with the kickboxing, and then I did a couple of grappling competitions. Then was like my first sort of MMA experience when I was 14. And the first time I had a grappling competition out, I thought I was going to be really good, and I got beat. Got beat off a lad in my first thing. I got choked, and I was absolutely gutted. Went on to win like the plate on that day, like a consolation thing, which was good enough. I was absolutely gutted about getting beat. Honestly, it was terrible. So, but then my first MMA fight was a few months later, and I got offered the same guy who beat me. So I was really, really like hell bent on going avenging this loss. And that was my first MMA fight back on when Total Combat was called Goshin Ryu or something like that, when it was like the first ones. I think it was Total Combat 3. So it was back in the day. It was like 2002. And I had my first fight on there, and I got beat off the same guy again. So I didn't manage to avenge my loss. I got beat. It was a bit hard to take. And then over the next few years, so that was when I was 15, back in February. Over the next few years, I was just in and out the gyms. I didn't really take it too seriously until I got to about 19, 20, I think. And then I started competing a hell of a lot more seriously. And then I've been doing it ever since. That was just sort of how it all just snowballed and came together.
And your training, apart from there, did you do any other specific training like boxing, jiu-jitsu, or did you kind of just melt it all together?
No, to be honest. I mean, looking back, I wish I'd have started boxing. And I just never went to a boxing gym till I was like, I don't know, maybe 20 or something. And I just used to go because I used to want to get good rounds in, like stand-up rounds against the boxers, just to sort of test myself. Looking back, if I'd have known when I was young, I would have been at a boxing gym. But it just never really came about. I was always into football, to be honest. Like that was my first love. And if I was any good at it, I would have been a footballer. I wouldn't have been a fighter. I think it's a little bit easier way to make money if you're a professional footballer rather than a fighter. But it didn't work out. Looking back, yeah, I wish I'd have gone to some boxing gyms and things like that, but it was just more kickboxing. And then when I started doing MMA, I spent a lot of time Thai boxing, even quit MMA for a while, just to concentrate on my stand-up, just because I wanted to be like a stand-up fighter, and then got back into the MMA. It was weird how it all worked out.
In 2013, you got into the Ultimate Fighter 18 show.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that came about, how you got signed up to go on there and what the experience was?
I mean, the Ultimate Fighter I'd been watching already. I loved it. I just loved the setup of the show. Like, I thought it was exciting how you saw like into the back lives of the fighters and see how they react under pressure and all living in the same house. That sort of like reality TV style show where it's not about how popular you are, it's about how how good of a fighter you are, and I just loved the setup of it. So I really, really wanted to do it. And the first time I tried out, I was only 3-1 as a pro, and I had to win. The tryouts were the week after one of my fights, and I had a fight, and it was a big fight because I had to win. I had to win, and then the Wolves there were going to pay me to go over to Vegas to try out, but I needed 3 wins on my professional record, and I was only 2-1 at the time. So it was a massive fight. And I nearly got knocked out in the first round, to be honest. It was a great fight. I managed to come back in the second and win by choke. And that got me to my 3 professional wins. So I went over to America to try out. It was in Newark, near New York. And when we were over there, we went to go and watch the UFC as well. I think it was with John Jones. I think he won the title for the first time. I'm not sure how he fought Shogun. I can't remember now. We got there after absolutely no sleep. We'd been up for about 48 hours on the flights and everything, and then went straight off to the UFC. But to try out for the Ultimate Fight, that's why we were there. And I didn't get on the first time. I was absolutely good. And I went back. I had about another 5 fights, won them all by stoppage, and then tried out again a few years later. Got in the house on the season I was on. So I flew to Vegas this time. Got through all the tryouts and everything. Got the call back, and then managed to win my fight to get on the show. So, and it was always a dream. I wanted that to be my route to the UFC because I really wanted to be part of that show. I just loved the setup of it, and yeah, it was so cool to get the chance.
The last podcast we had, David, was in June last year. And it was days before you were flying out to Fight Island. And Fight Island was a new thing then. You know, nobody heard about Fight Island that had been put together. And you were fighting somebody called Martin Day. At that time, Martin Day had predicted that it was a superior striker, and that you would be looking to taking him to the ground because his striking would have been too much for you. Talk us through the journey from the UK and how it was, the experience of being on Fight Island leading up to the fight day.
I mean, yeah, it was fantastic from start to finish. Obviously, the win at the end of it topped everything off. But even just the overall experience, honestly, like everyone else was sort of like in lockdown. It was loads of things going on with the pandemic. So it was weird for the training and stuff. But as soon as we set off, like I was going to a pretty like private island, you know, like a private beach and everything. Everyone else is just at home, not even allowed to leave the house type thing. So I realised how lucky I was. When we first got to London, we had to quarantine for a couple of days on our own in a hotel room, which was a bit of a nightmare, especially when you've got cut weight and stuff. So I'm skipping just about all day to try and make sure that I can still burn calories, as well as just eating pretty minimal. And then we got to the airport. We were like straight through for security because it was like obviously it was like a private flight. And that was good. Just have to go to the airport, boom, straight onto the plane. And the plane was like a private jet. So, I mean, honest, I'm not going to lie. I've never flew first class before. We got put in first class. So it's like the best of food. And even the seats. So the seats go all the way down so you can lie down flat. So I was that excited about being able to lie down flat. I couldn't even get to sleep. Do you know what I mean? It was crazy. It was so ironic. But it was... So from that point, it was honestly it was fantastic. So we got the private jet, flew to Abu Dhabi. It was lovely and red hot, and I love the sun. I love training when it's warm. Our own private island, private beach. There was jet skis there, all sorts. It was unbelievable. The UFC sorted out everything for us. It was like being in paradise for a fight. So I really enjoyed it. I mean, from everything they were doing, they had all my meals cooked, everything. They had physios on tap, everything you wanted. It was great. And then to go and get the win on Fight Island, the first fight, I felt like it was like epic, and I was really looking forward to it. It was like, because like you say, it was a new thing back then. It was all uncharted territory, so you can't worry about anything. You just got to get on and do it. And it was literally fantastic experience.
So yeah, I just remember yours was the first fight on Fight Island, right?
Yeah, first one.
Fight itself with Martin Day, what did you know about him, and just kind of lead us through the fight?
Yes, I mean, so I knew he was a good stand-up guy. I watched a few of his fights. He was like really good kickboxer, extravagant kicks, good hands. From watching, I mean, I thought, you know what it is? This is a great fight to go and have a proper scrap. And I thought, it's the first fight on Fight Island. I do feel like if I wanted to, I could have took him down and controlled him and I possibly submitted him if I was looking for that sort of fight. But it wasn't the type of fight I was looking for. I thought first fight on Fight Island, I wanted to make it a good scrap. I wanted to have like a really exciting fight, and I knew he was there for that. I didn't think he was going to shoot. I know he was. Like you say, I think he was expecting me to shoot, which I wasn't. If it comes, I'm an MMA fighter. If I see the shot, I'll take the shot. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll try and ground and pound, go for the sub, anything like that. But I was looking forward to having a good stand up like battle, a bit of a chess match with him. And it turned out to be just that. He was a great opponent for it, and I thank him for that. I loved the fight. It was great to go and get stuck in there and show a lot of what I can do.
Now, some of the viewers might not be aware, but in the first round, I think he caught you with a right hook. And did he break your jaw in the first round? Yeah,
broke my jaw in 2 places, and it was a lovely shot. Hit us sort of like, caught us like on one leg, come right over the top, dropped me, ended up in my guard. And yeah, it was a fantastic shot to get caught with. But even though it broke my jaw and like sort of put me down, it didn't really hurt, or like I wasn't like sort of dazed or anything from it. And I managed to get back up and just carry on.
And did you know that you'd broken your jaw as soon as it connected and you ended up on the floor?
Yeah. As soon as I was hit the floor, I knew. So my teeth just didn't feel like they fit together anymore. It was just like a weird feeling. I mean, there's not many things really hurt in fights. That one did. It was a bit weird. It was it was a cracking shot.
But then you repaid him with the kindness by giving him a shot back, right? Because he ended up was he unconscious?
Yeah, he was out. I managed to catch him right on the end of the chin to put him out.
Well, all that adrenaline must have been going, David, because there's a clip of you walking around and then you catch a glimpse of Dana White. Can you just talk us through the conversation you had with Dana White?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dana. I really do. I get on with him. He's a real cool guy. We had some good moments, like back in the days, like in the Ultimate Fighter house. One of the good things about being on the Ultimate Fighter is Dana's in and about all the time, so you can get to have a big crack with him, like one of the lads type things. You know what I mean? So you get to know the boss a little bit, and it can help. You know what I mean? Because he is a cool guy. You know, if you're good to him, he's good to you. And I obviously, I mean, we all want the bonus. Everyone who's fighting wants the bonus. It's big money. And I thought, if I can just let him know, make him sure that he knows that I broke my jaw in the first round, because I knew I did, and then got the knockout, still went toe-to-toe and sort of traded with the guy and got the knockout in the third. I thought, I've got a hell of a chance of getting this bonus. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to let him know, just to see if I could, sort of sway him into giving us the bonus. And then luckily it worked out all right.
Well, it worked out well for you, my friend, and you did get the bonus. Congratulations. Your next fight, Davey, is going to take place on UFC Fight Night, which is confirmed for the 13th of March against Jonathan Martinez. He's coming off a 2-fight winning streak against Thomas Almeida and Frankie Saenz. What do you know about Jonathan, and have you changed your training in any way to kind of adapt for Jonathan?
I mean, training's always going to be the same. I sort of work on the stuff that I'm good at. He's a good fighter. He's coming off some incredible wins. So I'm really looking forward to it. He's another guy who looks like he's going to come and stand, and it looks like it's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm just really looking forward to the test out of it. Like, we're both coming off 2-fight win streaks, so both going to be hungry, both going to be confident. It's looking like it's shaping to be like a great matchup again.
And would you like to share a prediction with us?
I mean, I'm going to look again for a knockout. That's what I'm always going to look for. But if I see a submission finish, I'll jump on a submission finish. Whatever happens, I'm looking to finish. And then anything else is just, you just take it as it comes. You know, I know he's a tough character. I know he's a good fighter, and I really cannot wait to go and test myself against him.
Well, that fight is only a couple of months away, and we're still in this testing time with the lockdown and the pandemic and everything else. How are you able to keep your training and keep fight active in order to prepare yourself for that fight?
Yeah, I mean, luckily enough, I've got my own gym, so there's no one ever going to be able to stop me training. I've always got the gym to go and do the work. got some great coaches and training partners and stuff like that. Nice little bubble under the what we call the elite athlete status, so we're allowed to get away with training indoors. So yeah, I mean, it just feels like normal to me. It really does.
One of the questions I ask athletes that come on the podcast is, are there any coaches and mentors that have played a significant role on your MMA journey that you'd like to share with the viewers?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I say, I've trained for a long time, a lot of years, and there's so many people to go and thank. I mean, my dad, for one, has always had a great he sort of got me into it anyway, and he used to always push me into it. Like when I was during my teenage years, when I wasn't really too worried about training, he was like, look, you need to get back in. I was only 19, I think, like when I started getting back in. So from the age of 15 to 19, I was really sporadic with training, and my dad would always tell me to get back into it. And I used to think that I was like sort of too old for it, like as if I'd sort of missed my chance because I never did it from when I was just a little boy. It was crazy. And then and he's always had his own gym, so I was always in and around fitness and training, and all my nutrition advice and everything was a lot to do with my dad. So he was like one of the first people. And my dad took me to my first MMA gym, and that was under a man like I mentioned before called Aidan Connor, kickboxing coach. And like that was the first gym I properly fought out of. So like a lot of props to him. You know, you've got to remember like where you've come from as well. You know, even though I've been to loads of gyms all over the world, there's a lot of people who helped me out in my first journey who I don't train with anymore, but I thank, you know, I can take something away from every single coach that I've ever worked with, and nearly all my training partners as well. So Aidan Connor was my big first coach at like very ill martial arts. Then I went on to the Wolves there. Like it was just a massive jump. I just felt like it was right time for me in my career. So I went to the Wolves there with like me and Kurt Warburton used to travel down all the time. There's some great coaches in there, like Mario Sukata was the main head coach, and then we had like Mark Kinney was the boxing coach, and Dave Jackson was the Thai boxing coach. And it was great to get to work with like some of the top athletes. Obviously at the time I wasn't even a pro, and then I got to get on the mats, and there was people like Mike Bisping, Chet Congo, Rampage Jackson, people like that, all on the same mat. Some massive names. It was as well as all the other guys who were still doing really, really well at the time. I know, like it was like surreal, to be honest. So that was like another one of my big gyms. Then I had like my Thai boxing when I was at home. It used to always be done by Gaz McAllister, and I owe him a lot. It was he was a great Thai coach, and I used to get private off his son Reese as well. Reese was like top king world champion. It was like some great work off them. And again, I don't really train with them anymore, but took away so many things. And then with conditioning coaches, I just learned off anyone. My first one was like a guy called Barry Edwards from Extreme. He used to give me so much information, and then you use it all. And now some of the stuff that they teach me, I can go and I pass on to my guys. My next strength and conditioning coach was a man called Jack Lovett from Spartans. He was again like some of the best workouts I've ever done. It was. I don't know, like I say, it all shapes over your life, and then it gives you so much of a baseline to go and then progress on your own ideas and things like that. And then obviously, I mean, after all that, I started to train at SBG Manchester. So I was at SBG Manchester. Actually, we had like NEVT before that, which was like all the guys in the Northeast. Like the who's who of MMA in Northeast, and Peter Irvin, he was a great coach. He sort of took the lead of it, but the trainer partners were like fantastic. I mean, Northeast, you know yourself, Safe's got a fantastic array of different fighters, and we all got together rather than wanting to fight each other. We all got together to help each other out to fight all the rest of the country. Do you know what I mean? So that was fantastic with the NEVT, and then it was SBG Manchester where I got to work with like who I've always looked at as my head coach, like the coach of coaches type thing. I mean, he was. He was a fantastic man, really, really sad loss, and he was like the guy from SPG, and he was ahead of the game. Honestly, the lessons I've learned off him are absolutely invaluable, and I miss him every day, especially when I've got fights coming up and things like that. Such a fantastic guy. And from then I went on to like having Alex Enland and Matt Inman as my coaches from then, and we all learned so much off Carl. It's just like we're still doing the things that he taught us now. It was Yeah, it was a hard loss to take for us all, but I feel like we're all still passing on all the lessons learned to all of our own students. So got a great team behind me still, and yeah, that was sort of like everyone who sort of shaped me. I probably missed a few. Like I say, I went to a few different boxing gyms, Thai boxing gyms, loads of different things, and took something away from everyone. If I have forgot anyone, I'm sorry about that, because I try to give everyone a little mention in there. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, everyone's shaped me to get to where I am today. And you can take something away, even off white belts on the mat. Sometimes a white belt will ask a question, who I coach myself, they'll ask a question and make me think. And then I'll learn something like that as well. You know, you never stop learning in this game. It's too broad of a spectrum.
You mentioned Carl Townswell, God rest his
Yeah.
soul. Every time I was at a show, his voice was the loudest in the corner. Am I right?
Yeah, mate. Honest, like, this is what I mean about being ahead of the game. He used to go to, what was it? It was like acting classes to where I think it was stage theatre classes, just to learn how to project his voice.
Really?
Yeah, he learned how to do it. Like, this is how like astute he was in his teaching and stuff like that. It was just ahead of the game. You know, there's no people doing that. So his voice, he learned how to project his voice properly, so you could hear him in a fight and hear it clear as day over the noise of the crowd or whatever else is going on. You know, it was next level stuff.
He did. He had that voice, and it wasn't just like over the crowd. I bet people in the car park could hear him.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
Well, couldn't he?
Yeah, he was a dream, mate.
You mentioned Matt Inman. Hopefully next week I've got a podcast with him as well, which is going to be cool to catch up with Matt. Which fight has been most rewarding for you through your MMA journey? It doesn't have to be a one that you win or lose or financial, but which one maybe you came across over some adversity to be able to finish that fight? Which fight out of all the fights you've had that has been most rewarding for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the last one. Like I say, it was an epic fight, and I looked at it as a massive stage. It was the best card I've ever been on. There was 3 title fights on the same card. So just think of the caliber of fighters that are on that card. And then out of 2 performances of the night bonuses, I got one of them, you know, over all these different, like some of the top names in the sport. So, and obviously, yeah, I got my jaw broken the first round, came back, managed to get the KO. My first proper KO when I'm fighting in the UFC, again against a good quality opponent. I think it was a fantastic, exciting fight, massive stage. I got the bonus as well, which is always nice. And I mean, hands down, that was the best experience of my MMA career to date.
One of the things I'd like is for athletes that come on, because you're at a Premiership league now, to share some experience, because you're on this MMA conveyor belt and there's other athletes who are on the same conveyor belt, but they might be a couple of years behind you.
Yeah.
From your experience, is there anything that you could share, any knowledge that you could share with the athletes that are on the same journey as you?
I mean, you've just got to just keep grinding. You've got to just keep going at it. You know, what people tend to do is they let the failures sort of like the downtimes or where things haven't gone the way affect them, you know, and that's all part of succeeding, you know. It's like there's more failures than successes on the route to get there. Do you know what I mean? I think I know I did it myself a couple of times. Is you get beat in fights and you think, oh God, and I even sort of give up MMA for a while. Like I say, I mean, I lost my first pro fight. I wasn't even interested in doing it if I wasn't going to be the best in the world. I want to be the best in the world. That is my ultimate goal. And I'll keep striving towards that. And I got beaten in my first fight. I thought, well, I'm not the best in the world. So I thought, well, I'll just try and be the best stand-up fighter in the world. So I went straight Thai boxing for about a year. And I was just going to fight stand-up from then on, because I got controlled in my first MMA fight, which I wasn't really, first pro MMA fight, which I wasn't really ready for. But the guy just manhandled me. I couldn't do anything with him. Obviously, I wasn't technically good enough back then. I was fighting out of my weight class, but it just dented me confidence. But then you got to realize that, yes, sometimes you're going to get beat, but it's how you come back from them losses and stuff like that brings you on, and it's all part of the experience. Sometimes, you know, like when you just keep winning, you're not looking about what you've done wrong or trying to better yourself. You know, like I think like Prince Nazim Hamid, it was a great example of that. He was like he was just winning. And then as soon as he got beat, it just stopped. knocked his confidence, or like he just wasn't the same fighter again. I think he retired a couple of fights later. Whereas maybe if he'd got beat earlier on in his career, he realised he wasn't invincible. It could have been totally different. You know, some people get into the sort of, I don't know, maybe the mindset that they think they're unbeatable. No one's unbeatable, but you've got to be like, there's a certain characteristic where you can get beat and then keep on striving to win, keep on striving to improve, and that's the be all and end all of it for me. You just got to keep grinding away at it.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Davey.
No worries.
Myself and I'm sure the viewers would like to wish you luck on your next fight in March.
Yeah.
Jonathan, make sure you join us after that. And we look forward to speaking to you again, Davey. It's been really awesome and cool just having this chat with you on our second podcast together.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No, it's always a pleasure, Saif. I really appreciate you getting me on. Thanks very much.